So last week we talked about being tired, and I got a lot of good response from it, and I really appreciate all the response. I have read it, I hadn't responded to everybody, but I have read them, and it makes you realize that, hey, you're not alone, right? I mean, I'm tired, y'all are tired. People in our country, in our communities, in our churches, in our homes, our workplace, we're all tired. And that's exactly what the enemy wants. The enemy wants you to be tired. Because when you're tired, what happens? You feel hopeless. You wore out. You feel like nothing's going to change. And when you get this way, you begin to break character. You get desperate and make decisions that break your character. That's not who you are. You do things that aren't representative of what you believe and who you are. You might respond in ways that aren't a good representation of who you are and what you believe. So you begin to mess up and make decisions out of desperation. And we've all done it. We've all done things about, man, why the heck did I do that for? Well, you're doing it because you're tired and you feel hopeless. And you're just looking for a way out. Looking for a way to break this cycle of tiredness and hopelessness that the enemy's got you in. And you get this way because you see what's going on around you, and you understand that the things that are going on around you make things seem bleak. And you look around and you realize that you hear the media, which is a big deal. The media does these things and sells you things and twists things around to make you feel like you have no hope, right? And these things seem like they're not going to turn around for you, your family, your communities, your churches, your world, your country. Things aren't going to get no better, right? And what you see going on in another country is going to make its way over here. That's how the media makes you feel. The media makes you feel this way. The media winds up being the mouthpiece of the enemy, and they keep you beat down. They keep you tired. They keep you wore out. They keep you feeling hopeless. And the truth is, we're not hopeless. We get a feeling of hopelessness, but we're not hopeless. We're just simply not. In Hebrews chapter 6 and verse 19. It says, we have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. It enters the inner sanctuary behind the curtain, where Jesus, who went before us, has entered on our behalf. He has become a high priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. Now, talks about inner sanctuary, inner high priest, and Melchizedek. That's a longer process of talking about. But what we are talking about is that we have a hope in Jesus. We have a hope in Jesus that's for our soul. It's firm and secure, right? It goes to the inner sanctuary. In other words, the inner sanctuary is talking about, it enters the heart of God. Jesus is at the right hand of the throne of God. He's right there next to God, right? And he's our intercessor. He's mediating. He is there for us, who goes before us on our behalf, right? He's going to God on our behalf all the time. So we have a hope, an anchor for the soul. What does an anchor do, right? It keeps the ship from rocking back and forward. It keeps it firm and secure in its place. In other words, you could be out there in the ocean in the middle of a hurricane. Maybe we do feel like we're in the middle of a hurricane in society, right? But you could be out in the sea in the middle of a storm, but you got Jesus as an anchor, and you're not going to go back and forward. You're not taking on water, and the boat's not going to be capsizing, right? Because Jesus is your anchor. Jesus is our hope. Jesus is the reason that we should not feel hopeless. And in Jesus, we have all that we need. And so the Hebrew writer talks about we have this hope. Well, what is this hope? Right? What is this hope? What's he talking about? Well, if you look earlier in verse 6, verse 9, the writer says, even though we speak like this, dear friends, we are confident of better things in your case, things that accompany salvation. That's an interesting thought. So we're confident of better things in your case, things that accompany salvation. Verse 10, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people and continue to help them. We want each of you to show this same diligence to the very end in order to make your hope sure. In verse 12, we do not want you to become lazy, but to imitate those who through faith and patience inherit what has been promised. So we have a hope there that like the good works we're doing is not going to lead to no fruit. The work we do and that we get tired of doing, we grow weary of doing good work because we don't see no benefit. I've been doing good. I've been living for Jesus. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. Things ain't turning around. In other words, he's saying, don't grow tired of doing that and then become lazy. Better things that accompany your salvation are on their way. Hey, be patient. Keep working. Keep doing the things for Jesus. Keep living for God. Keep doing right. Keep going. Keep fighting the good fight. Don't break character. Don't do things out of hopelessness. Don't grow weary in living for Jesus. The better things that accompany salvation are on the way. It's an interesting thing because a lot of times we're going to teach that salvation is enough, which by the way it is. Hey, salvation is enough. Salvation is a big stinking deal, right? That's everything. But here it says there's things that accompany salvation. It's not just salvation. That you get the peace, the joy. Contentment, by the way, is a big deal. We need to learn to be content. Paul said learn to be content in all situations. No matter what a situation was, he learned to be content. So maybe we should be content as well, right? But there are things there and our hope, right? So verse 12 is talking about the hope. Verse 19 is talking about the hope that we have, right? The hope is an anchor for our soul, firm and secure. So we have the hope that, hey, God's not unjust. It said that earlier in verse 6 there, that God is not unjust. In other words, he's not going to forget you. He ain't forgot about you. He ain't forgot about us. He ain't forgot about America. He ain't forgot about your community, your town, your state, your family. But we can't grow weary in doing what's right. We can't grow weary in living for him. Right? We can't feel entitled to certain blessings. We can't feel entitled to, hey, we deserve this by now. No, you don't, really. You really don't deserve it. But it's really going to be there eventually. Now, does that mean God's going to make us all millionaires? No. Don't believe that stuff. It's just not real. And it's not necessary. And we don't need to be millionaires. Okay? Let's be honest. We don't. Now, Matthew chapter 6, verse 19 again. Hey, verse 6, Matthew 6, 19 through 20. Jesus said himself. Okay, now Jesus said this. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy, where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Right? So no, we don't need to look for monetary and material possessions on this earth. We all would love to have it. Let's be honest with ourselves. A lot of money sounds great. And you start to say, well, I could do a lot of good with a lot of money. Sure you could. And so you start to chase the money. So when I have the money, now once I have the money, I will then begin to do good. Why don't we do good with what we got? And then if money happens to come our way, continue to do good. Right? So we can't look for the blessing before the work. We can't look for the blessing before the heart condition. Right? Let's just fix our hearts now. Let's live, and then live for God the best we can and do the best we can with what we have, and then maybe other things will come along. And if we're never millionaires, it's totally okay, right? It's totally fine, because Jesus said, don't worry. You know, we talked about that last week, right? When we're talking about being tired. He said, don't worry about all the other stuff. I'll take care of everything. Right? Jesus said, I'll take care of your needs. Don't worry about it. Just live for me and trust me. Take up my burden. Take up my cross, right? That his yoke is easy and his burden is light. It's light. It's light work to trust Jesus. And to put your hope in Jesus, because Jesus is our hope. We have this hope. We have the hope that God is not slow, right? In producing and fulfilling his promises. That God hears us. God loves us. He cares about us. He's not unjust. He ain't forgot about you. But we have to hold on to the hope No matter what the media says, no matter what wars are going on, no matter what the political landscape is like in our country, because we all understand it's crazy, it's going to be crazy. We got less than 90 days before the stinking election, and for every single one of those days we're going to hear about it. It's going to be another problem, it's going to be another issue, it's going to be another thing. I got to be honest with you, back in I guess it's probably January, late last year or early January this year, so late December, early January, I talked about the upcoming year and how there's going to be things that happen that we did not predict, that we could not believe was going to happen. Things were going to happen that was going to blow our minds, that we felt like was not going to happen, but they really were going to happen. And lo and behold, what do we have? Things going on that you just can't stinking believe. Right? And I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm saying that, hey, this is what God's trying to warn us of. God told me this. It's not Jason. It's not me, right? It's God speaking and God warning us. And God saying, hey, be aware things are going to happen. Don't lose hope. Keep your hope as an anchor, but your hope in Jesus as an anchor, firm and secure. And our hope can't be the hope we're a millionaire. Our hope can't be, hope I get a $3 an hour raise. Our hope can't be, hope interest rates go down. Hope can't be gas prices going down. Our hope has to be in Jesus and Jesus alone, and allow God to work and allow God to change things in our society, because that's the only way things are going to get any better, is if we keep our hope in Jesus. All right? We got to do that. And yes, I'm getting a little fired up. We got to keep a fighting spirit. Not fighting against people, but fight against the dark powers, there's dark spiritual forces that are going on in our society. And we fight that through Jesus and through acting like God wants us to act. Right? So thank you guys so much for watching. We do appreciate it. I'm still fired up, but I'm just going to keep being fired up for the same things. So thank y'all so much for watching. We do appreciate it. My name is Jason. This is Art of Creation Homestead. We love y'all. God bless you and goodbye.